Hey guys, welcome back to my training series where I create a program and then run it all in real time, sharing my insights and what I think about it, how I want to improve, and all that jazz. Today, I'm starting with the low incline, so about a 30-degree incline bench press with the dumbbells. So we're kind of focusing a little bit on the upper chest in this lift, but not entirely. This is just a great builder for the chest as a whole because with dumbbells the dumbbells really conform to your individualized anatomy versus something like a barbell. You'd be more fixed into place. Not saying that a barbell is bad. In fact, they're tried and true for a reason. People love them. But for my purposes, for today, I'm using dumbbells, and I'm keeping the weight the same because last week I got 8 for the first set and then 7 for the remainder sets. So I'm going to try and get 8 for each set if I can. However, on this particular day, we're going up from 3 sets to 4 sets for this lift. So it's going to be a little bit more volume by nature, which is going to make it a little bit harder. But let's see. Let's go. Okay, I'm very happy with that because I actually got 9 repetitions instead of 8. So we're already off to a great start for this workout. I find that the lower the incline, the more strength I have, the stronger I am. I think that makes sense because the higher up the incline is, the more shoulders you're going to be involving, and the higher up you're going to be focusing on the chest. I mean, once you get completely vertical, then you're just primarily only focusing on your shoulders, your front and your side delts, and you're barely getting any chest. Versus when you're more like a decline, it becomes much easier. You ever notice that you're much stronger at a decline position than you are an incline one? Just something that I've thought a lot about. Okay, let's get it. Set number 2. Oh yeah, I'll take it. That's 8 repetitions, so 1 more than last week. As long as I can beat the reps from last week and still maintain good form and everything, then I'm very, very happy because that means that we're making progress. If you ever see one of the metrics in your workouts increase in some way, you know that you're doing something right. You know that progress is happening, even if it's not noticeable right at that given time, which it probably won't be because fitness like this is a very long term game. It's a lifelong game. All right, another successful set. Let's go. I do feel like with exercises like this, it's all about that setup. If you accidentally push too hard with your leg when you're getting the dumbbell up, then you're going to be thrown off balance. And once that first rep goes downhill, then the other ones are soon to follow, in my experience. you really want to make sure that your form is locked down from that first push, you know. And then also just deadlifting the dumbbells up in the beginning before you even sit down on the bench is also important, because that's a way that could totally fatigue you as well. You know, there's so many pros to using dumbbells. You know, they mimic your anatomy. They can be done very well unilaterally because you're not gripping it with two hands. You got one in each arm. You know, you can get much deeper than most gym equipment. However, the setup does kind of suck. You know, it's not like a machine bench press or something where the setup's already done for you. With dumbbells, you got to make sure that that setup is on point, or else you're going to be leaking gas from the engine, so to speak, you know. All right, guys, this is officially set 4. So the set that we never performed last time. Well, it wasn't programmed in, so of course we didn't perform it. But this is kind of the make it or break it set, you know what I mean? Like, obviously we already did very well, so we're making progress. We already progressively overloaded on every single set that we did, but this is the one that's really gonna define the future, I'd say. You know, this is the one where it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, I already surpassed all my previous sets. I'm just gonna phone it in. This is where you gotta put in the most effort, your best foot forward. One more. I'll take it. We got 8 again. So successful in my book. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I only really warm up on the first exercise of a given muscle group. So I did about 3 warm-up sets before I did that first working set that I recorded on the dumbbell incline bench press. So therefore, I am not going to be warming up on this machine incline bench press, and especially with something like this, because this is working the exact same musculature, just in a slightly different way. The only difference is that the resistance curve is going to be much more fixed, and it's going to be much more it's going to feel a lot different than something like a dumbbell. You know, that's the only real difference here. And then obviously, like, your body positioning is slightly different, but you're still working the same muscles, just in more of a fixed manner. So anyway, we're keeping the sets the same for today as last time I did this. So it's gonna be 3 sets again. However, I am going up 10 pounds, so we're up to 150. Last time I got 10 reps. We're gonna try and hit that. If we don't, I'm not too concerned, because this is a pretty big jump. You know, I've been doing like 10-pound incremental jumps since I started this program for like each exercise every time. At least I've been trying to. And that's a lot, you know. If I weren't bulking right now and really had my rest and digest and my sleep on point, then I don't think that I could be doing these big jumps. I'd definitely be doing like 5 pounds or nothing, you know, or like an every other week type of deal. But luckily, everything has been working out for me. It's the best feeling, you know. Okay. That was great. That felt really good. I think that I legitimately just got stronger with my chest. because that form was pretty dialed. The only improvements that I'd say that I would try and make with that form is just control the eccentric a little bit more, but I was definitely controlling it there. It's not like I was just letting it fall, and it's not like I was controlling it too much. So I think I was right in that zone where you want to be with the eccentric lowering phase at like 2 to 4 seconds. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. And honestly, like I was reviewing the footage from like day 2 of week 1, and there's some visible gains going on. I definitely look bigger and stuff. So it's working. The program works. I'm very happy with it. Of course, there's things that I'm going to alter and I'm going to change. But if there weren't, then I wouldn't be learning from the program. And after all, we're here to improve. We're here to become the best lifters that we possibly can, to really fine tune the sport that we all love. So this is my way of doing it. Writing programs, running it myself, being my own guinea pig, my own test subject, if you will, and fine tuning it and just trying to create the best damn program for myself and for you guys. We're trying to find that optimal amount of volume, that secret sauce, that Krabby Patty formula, that secret formula. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna stop until we find it. I think we're close. I mean, this was a great first take. But of course, the perfect program for one person is not going to be the perfect program for the next guy or girl. And the reason why I say that is because everybody's life circumstances are different. Like, for instance, this is a push-pull legs 6-day-a-week program. Most people can't commit to that. Most people can't do 6 days a week in the gym. And especially at these high workloads. I mean, in the beginning, it was more doable, but now that we're on week 4, we're doing 20 sets per muscle group. That's very challenging for a lot of people. So, when I say like the best formula, I don't mean for everybody. I mean for the people that have the time, that are willing to do whatever it takes. Man, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I tuck my chin when I'm doing this, and I have no idea why. I do that during the other exercise, the incline dumbbell bench. I do the same thing. I'm like tucking my chin. For whatever reason, I feel like I can produce more power that way. And honestly, it's not like you're using your cervical spine, this whole area, to lift the weights. In fact, it's under zero load. So I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing, even though it may look a little goofy. What else was I going to mention? Oh, when I'm doing these, I can definitely feel the point where my triceps take over completely and my chest is kind of obsolete. It's kind of food for thought if you think about it. Like, if you're trying to get the most out of this lift for your chest specifically, you may just want to leave it in this bottom range of motion, doing like a long lift partial. Because up here, once you get a good 2 feet or whatever off of your chest, and your triceps are completely taking over, and there's like no room for your chest to be involved at all. So it just makes you think, like, obviously, like, I want both. So I don't mind doing like the full range of motion, and I do think that in most cases the full range of motion is better. But if you are literally like, I don't want any tricep at all, of course you're still going to be using tricep in this bottom range, but you're not going to be locking it out completely. So you're not going to be getting like as much tricep if you're just focusing in this bottom range of motion. And then in terms of, doing the flip side of that, just focusing in the top range, I wouldn't even bother, guys. That's just an ineffective way to train both the chest and the triceps. I would just rather do like a tricep push down or something at that point, you know, if you just want tricep growth. Okay, guys, let's finish off this exercise. Oh, frick, I cannot control that last negative at all. That's how you know you really push it to the limits, you know me? Okay, guys, next up we got 5 billion sets of the cable upright row. No, I'm only kidding. We only got 5 sets. We got 5 sets of the cable upright row, which is still a lot. You know, I've complained about it every single time I've had to do 5 sets of literally anything. So next program, I know that I will not be programming in 5 sets, even if it is the last week of something. I think that 4 is about my limit, because anything after 4, and I tend to kind of phone it in a little bit. I tend to rush the sets a little bit. So we're gonna do 5 for this week, obviously, because that's what I committed to. That's what I wrote down. So we're gonna do it. However, I am going up 5 pounds. So I'm going up to 67.5. Okay, I got 12, and that felt appropriate. That felt like a good repetition mark and a good weight amount. So pretty happy with that. And in fact, I'm very happy with this exercise because I managed to increase the weight almost every single time that I've done it. So it means it's a successful exercise. I think next time I'm going to rotate this out for the seated shoulder press. These are such similar movements in terms of the musculature worked. So I think kind of like rotating back and forth is a good idea. I mentioned it a couple times before, but with this lift, I'm really focusing on just moving my shoulder joint from here to here. So I'm moving my elbow up like this, but I'm trying not to actually shrug to get it up. You know what I mean? And I'm also trying not to sway too much with my hips and with my torso, because the more that you sway, the more you're involving like glutes and stuff to build momentum and get the weight up. So I'm trying to keep it as rigid as possible, and I think I'm doing a pretty decent job. I'm not really against losing rigidity later on in the sets. You know, if you do all the reps that you can with strict form, but then at the very end you throw in some like cheating reps, I don't think that's a necessarily bad thing, as long as you're not putting yourself at risk for injury. As long as, you know, your form is still relatively tight and you're doing it on certain exercises that aren't going to injure you, I think it's actually positive, because you're just reaffirming that you've hit muscular failure and thus contributed enough to a hypertrophic effect. You know, your body's gonna be like, holy shit, you know, we better do something about this. We better heal up in time for next time before this guy does it again. You know. Okay, that time I did a couple cheat reps at the end. I wouldn't say that they were super dramatic cheat reps. They're still pretty controlled. So I'm counting them towards the regular set range. So we got 12 again. That was the third set. I think that's pretty good. I don't know if you guys are in the same boat, but I'm bulking pretty hard right now. And in fact, if I weren't bulking, I probably wouldn't be seeing this much of a strength increase in the gym. When you're bulking up, it's much easier to gain strength and size. It's just how it works. But, I'm planning to do this bulk. We're finishing up Hypertrophy 1.0. Then on my next program, doesn't have a name yet, but I'm going to bulk for its entirety. And I'm planning to make that program between 6 and 8 weeks. So it's going to be almost double, if not double, the length of Hypertrophy 1.0. So it's going to be a lot more to commit to. However, I've just by creating this program and then following it for all you guys, my consistency has gone through the roof. I haven't missed a day at all for the whole program, which, usually I'm pretty consistent with the gym because I love training, but I'm not a robot. I would miss days. If left up to my own devices, running this program by myself, I probably would have missed at least 2 days by now, which doesn't seem like a lot on paper, but when a program is created in a certain way, it's not created with the intention of people missing days. It's created to be ran straight through and done how it's particularly designed. That being said, I'm excited to keep bulking for 8 more weeks. However, I'm a little nervous to get a little chunky because fat loss phases aren't my friend. I'm rather prone to cheating. So, but the good thing about like bulking and cutting is that bulking can be a really slow and enjoyable process, whereas cutting is often much quicker. You don't have to cut for nearly as long as you have to bulk for, because losing fat is just so much easier than gaining fat, at least when you're trying to put on muscle too. I think if you weren't working out, then all of those excess calories would be going straight to your adipose tissue, your fat stores. But since we're running a killer program, a lot of it is going towards muscle gain as well. Anyway, I think that after this next bulking program, I'll create kind of like a cutting program. Here's my philosophy. I think that, to cut properly and in the best of your ability, your program should stay the same as when you're bulking. Your program should always kind of be, the hardest thing for you, the best thing for you at that time. So even though I'm going to create a program specifically for cutting, that doesn't mean that it's going to be dramatically different from like this program or my bulking program. It's going to be like the same exact deal. Just maybe the exercises will be less fatiguing. It may be like a lot more machine work and stuff like that, Okay, this is number 4. All right, that's 4 down. We just got 1 more to go. Then we're also going to have 5 more sets of shoulders with the side lateral raises. I especially love doing shoulders because I want to grow my shoulders, and I just like the way that it feels. I've always just enjoyed shoulder training. Let me know if you guys are different. Okay, last seconds of these. All right, those last two reps were definitely not pitch perfect reps. They're kind of the definition of sheet reps, but that's okay. That was the fifth and final set of those for this whole program. Actually, we're not going to be doing these for a while, I think. We've come to the unilateral cable lateral raises. So it's specifically targeting the lateral deltoid, this one that's facing out, the one responsible for creating wideness in your skeleton, in your appearance. This is like my favorite shoulder exercise, probably. This and then I love the seated dumbbell shoulder press. These are both great exercises. I love this one because when you're doing it, the tension is constant. You know, if you're doing it with a dumbbell or something and you raise it up at the bottom range, like this part, you're not going to have any more resistance. The only thing being worked is just going to be your forearm to maintain your grip on the actual object. But with this, since it's a cable machine, you're creating constant tension throughout the whole entire range of motion. So that's why I really like it. And after all, tension is what builds bigger muscles. So. I want to quickly break down the bottom line when it comes to hypertrophy training, and that's that you guys got to do a lot of work and you got to do it good, okay? Every time you step foot in the gym, you have to be prepared to find that threshold where you're like destroying a muscle, but you're not destroying it too much, where you're taking your sets intensely, but you're not doing too many sets. You know, so you want to be hitting the right amount of volume in a session to give yourself that hypertrophic stimulus. Then you want to be attacking each set with as much vigor and passion and aggression as you can in order to be able to call those sets working sets. And the way that that works is by getting 0 to 3 reps shy of absolute muscular failure. And if you don't know where that line is, take it all the way, include some cheat reps after you go to failure, figure it out yourself, you know what I mean? And then beyond creating those working sets, you want to get in enough sessions a week that is going to sufficiently keep re-triggering that stimulus for growth. You know, if you're hitting chest Monday and you hit it to the best of your ability, and then, you know, it's probably only going to take 2 to 3 days to recover. You should be hitting it again on Thursday. If you wait until the following Monday, how many days do you think you're going to be leaving your chest untrained? So you want to keep triggering that stimulus for growth. That's what it's all about. Keep that stimulus high, keep your body growing and becoming better, and then, you know, hit it down again. It almost sounds like a fucked up relationship. Pardon my language. It almost sounds like a really messed up relationship, you know, like super toxic, but it's actually healthy. It's just the way I put it. Kind of sounds fucked up, messed up. I'll tell you guys, say this. I don't know if I've ever truly hit 20 sets for a muscle group for not only one muscle group, for every muscle group in 1 week. I don't think I've ever actually hit that metric because this is surprisingly challenging to recover from each and every day. Maybe it's because we've slowly built our way up to this, slowly accumulating fatigue. But I don't know. I don't know if I've truly hit 20. Even the days that I've programmed in 20 sets for every muscle group for a week in for myself, I don't think I've actually hit that metric because, I would like miss a day or two or something like that. Something will come up and it would make it a little bit easier. So what I'm trying to say is that 20 is next to my breaking point. It's really challenging. However, I kind of have a suspicion that it's mostly a mind game than anything. Doing this many sets each and every day takes a toll on you mentally. You ever just seem to pucker up. That was a challenging set. I think that was set 2.5. This will be 3. Okay, this is the last one of the side lateral cable flies. And then this is completely finishing off shoulders. So our shoulders are going to be pretty decimated after this particular set. And then after this, we're going to finish off chest, a little bit of icing on the cake. Remember last time I did the unilateral cable chest fly? That just felt incredible because I got that peak contraction plus that deep stretch. Killer combo. And then to finish it all off, we're going to do some triceps. Triceps volume is actually increasing today. Definitely starting to feel a pretty substantial burn. Like that is, well, it's not like a true indicator of causing muscle growth. It's definitely, it definitely feels good because it means you're doing something. You know what I mean? It's a good indicator that you're putting in the work. I think the truest indicator that you're making progress is you're progressively overloading in some way. I guess progressive overload can come in many, many different facets. You can increase load, you can decrease rest times, do all these different things. But additionally, you could probably increase that burn that you get on the musculature. That could definitely be a form of progressive overload in of itself. All right, we're now on to the unilateral cable chest fly. If you guys can find something to grab onto, I'm grabbing onto the other side of the cable machine for support. I think that you absolutely should. Whenever you can reinforce and create a sense of stability in any given lift, then I believe that it will become much more hypertrophic, because after all, the less stable, the more instability that you accumulate, the less power and strength output that your body can naturally produce. An unstable object is a weak object, okay? So same logic goes for everything lifting related. If you're like doing some sort of Bosu ball type of deal, like squats on a Bosu ball, you think you're going to be able to, perform as much weight as you did otherwise? No, not a chance. That's why I like to have like flat, stable shoes when squatting, because the more rooted you are into place, the more strength and power you can muster. Same logic goes for this exercise. By the way, I'm going up 5 pounds, and we're doing 3 sets here, unilateral, so it's basically 6. A part of me really was screaming, let's stop at 10 there. Let's stop at 10. And the reason why it was saying that is because we're doing so high a volume this week and today. So many sets, and most of the reps are like above 10. So it's a lot of repetitions, a lot of moving. And therefore, every step of the way, my body's been like, hey, we don't have to do that many reps. You can still mark it down for just 10, but come on, guys. If we want to make progress, we're here. We're here working. If we want to make progress, then we can't just show up. We got to show up and put in the hard work. Notice how I said hard work, not just work. So even though the jump from 10 to 12 may not seem like a lot, it will be long term. Ooh, immediate burn. I really love this fly movement because you're taking the chest through all of its ranges of motion. It's doing all of the functions that it really wants to do. Some functions that are often suppressed by the nature of most pressing exercises. But with this, you're getting all of it. You're getting the full range of motion of the chest, which is a beautiful thing when you think about it. Let me know what your guys' favorite chest movement is. Name your favorite overall, then name your favorite fly variation. I'm very curious to see, and there's no wrong answers here. It's all personal preference at the end of the day, you know. Whew. In my next program, I'm definitely going to continue doing these. Kind of trim out the exercises that I'm not super fond of and reintroduce new ones, but especially keep the ones that have been really succeeding in my book. And this one, it's all those boxes. But I have been lifting for quite a while now, so I kind of understand which exercises I favor. By the way, if you guys are running a particular program, whether it be mine or somebody else's, if you don't like an exercise, just sub it out. I'm serious. Okay, that was two. We just got one more. I do want to mention something that's been on my mind and is always kind of on my mind. That's supplementation. I think here's how I view supplementation, and it's that, well, it can be, yeah, let me restart. Supplementation is just what it sounds. It's in the name. It's a supplement. It's not supposed to replace hard training, hard work, eating right, sleeping right. It's not supposed to replace any of the foundations. It's just supposed to supplement. It's supposed to be the cherry on top. It's just supposed to be that top 1 to 5%. So I think that if you guys have everything else dialed in, then it would be time to start looking at supplementation. And my supplements, I think the real performance supplements include creatine, natural ones include creatine, caffeine, and then maybe something like whey protein, because with whey protein, it can just help you recover better. And then caffeine can help you get that little fighting edge that you need in every workout, that you may require in every workout. Depends on the person. And then creatine is just such a proven enhancer. I mean, it increases your water intramuscularly, increasing the size of your muscles, the density, and the power output as a result. So really, those are like my big three performance enhancers. And then besides that, fish oil, vitamin D3, K2, and then like a good multivitamin that'll cover all those things. That'll cover all of your bases. And then maybe like magnesium to help you sleep, because magnesium is a natural muscle relaxer, and that can just help you kind of drift off into sleep. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on supplements. Of course, I'm not a scientist or whatever. I haven't done like the research. I haven't been in the field doing the research firsthand, so I don't know all the ins and outs of the new cutting edge supplements, or even of the ones I just mentioned. However, I've just looked at the literature, I've heard things, I've looked into it myself, and it seems like these are the most efficacious. And whenever there's like a new supplement on the market, I would wait until there's enough empirical data to support it, because a lot of the supplements that are like fad supplements that become extremely popular, oftentimes they die down because they're not actually worth it. So instead of being your own guinea pig with your own body in terms of supplements, exclusively supplements, I would say wait for others to pave the way. You know what I mean? Ones that are getting paid to be in these clinical trials and shit like that. Put in my language. Okay, that's it. Okay, that concludes our chest. I can definitely feel that we made a dent. I'm definitely gonna be sore tomorrow, which is great. I love muscle soreness. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but to me, muscle soreness is an indicator that we fought well, that we put in that work. Okay, for this particular day, I am up to 4 sets for the overhead cable tricep extension. So this one that really hits the long head really well and derives a great stretch at the bottom. Fantastic exercise. We're we're gonna be doing 7 sets of direct tricep work for this day, and of course, I'm counting half sets on the pressing movements because after all, you are using triceps to a large degree. So we did 7 sets of pressing. So that's around 3.5 sets that will be accumulated to triceps. So we're hitting 10, or actually we're hitting like 10 and a half really, but that's okay. I think triceps can handle it. It's one of the few muscle groups that can. I'm going up 5 pounds. We're going from 52.5 to 57.5 on this cable machine because last time it seemed relatively easy. Oh, wow, I actually got 15 reps there. So, we'll take it. That's a little bit more than I anticipated, but nothing that's really a bad thing. Of course, it's never a bad thing to excel at what you love doing, especially with something like this. We went from 12 to 13 reps. I'll take it. Something that I'm trying to do with my form is keep my elbows kind of locked in. I don't know if I was the best example of it on that set, but try and keep those elbows locked in. Try not to move them too much, because the more you're moving them, the less like stability you're gonna get out of your triceps. So really try and tuck those suckers in and then just extend straight up. That's what I'm trying to do. Anyway, yeah, I don't feel like I need much rest for these. Probably take another 10 to 20 seconds and then go from there. I wanted to briefly touch on like recovery practices. Honestly, the best recovery practice is whatever unwinds you and lets you relax in your truest sense. Brings you to that rest and digest, parasympathetic mode, wing, if you will, of the nervous system. That's where you want to be in to enact the most recovery. For me, there's a couple activities which really help, and that's like watching TV with dinner. That's a huge one that helps me relax. Just takes my mind off of everything else and plugs it onto the TV. But too much of that, and I start being like, why the hell am I wasting so much of my time when I could be spending it in other ways, doing other hobbies, stuff like that. So I only do that in moderation, but I think the number one thing for me, and it's been this way for over a year, is the sauna. I love doing the sauna like pretty much directly after lifting. Sometimes I'll do like cardio or stretching in there, but more recently I've just been doing my filming, my lifting with you guys, and then I just hop in the sauna for like 10 to 20 minutes. And man, it's transformative. I mean, it just helps me relax so much and it feels so good. And I speculate that it increases muscle growth as well because it's increasing blood flow. And whenever you can get more blood flow, that's something to be a good thing because you're getting more nutrients and all those like growth factors and amino acids and goodies to your muscles that you need to grow back bigger and strong. Something I like to mention on this exercise, regarding this exercise, is I love to use the actual bar attachment, especially the easy bar variation, the one that's kind of like a flattened out W. I prefer to use that over something like a rope because with the rope, you don't have that sense of stability. It's very flimsy. You're going to be wobbling a ton. And if your goal is to make the exercise harder through instability, then go for it. But my goal is hypertrophy. So I think that having a greater sense of stability throughout the range of motion is going to benefit you long term a lot in a much greater way. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, last of these. I also use a thumbless grip. It just feels better for me. It's totally personal preference, I'd say. Oh, holy heavens, that got really difficult towards the end. Yeah, after looking at the little screen I got here, I'm coming to the conclusion that my grip should be narrowed in a bit because while my elbows are relatively staying in the same spot and together, I think that the more narrow my grip is, the more in my elbows will be, and the more directly the triceps will be worked as a byproduct. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going up to 67.5 from 62.5. That's a 5-pound jump on the cable tricep pushdown. It's one of my favorite tricep lifts. I mean, it's a classic, a tried and true one for a reason, guys. Anyway, last time I actually did these off camera because if you recall, I went like an hour before the gym closed and I kind of had to speed run towards the end, so I didn't actually film it. And I rushed through them quite substantially. So today we're going to try not to rush through them, even though I'm tempted to. And I've spoke on this before, that last exercise, those last few sets, I'm always tempted to speed run just so I can go about on my day because you're so close. You know, you're so close to the finish line. You just want to be there already. But in these moments, these are the ones where you should be spending careful attention not to speed run. Holy guacamole, my triceps are fried right now. They're so pumped that squeezing them, it feels like they're gonna cramp. Ain't that the best feeling? When you work a muscle group so hard that when you squeeze it, when you fully contract it, it feels like it's gonna friggin' cramp up and explode. That is definitely a proxy that you are working the muscle into the ground. That's for sure. And that's kind of where I want to be. It's exactly where I want to be for week 4, guys. It's exactly where I want to be. Overreaching, not quite overtraining. Let's go. Anyway, we're doing 3 sets here to finish it off. And I've said it before, but I'll touch on it real quick. On push days like this, for like a push-pull legs program or any type of push day that you do, I like including some direct tricep work at the end. That's because I think that if you do your tricep work before something like your chest work, then your triceps will become the limiting factor in how much you can actually press, because they're a secondary muscle group. So they're being worked very, very hard while you're doing chest training. So if you completely fatigue them, then what's gonna finish off that range of motion? You know, your chest sure as hell isn't gonna do it. That's my 2 cents on it anyway. So that's why I like to put triceps last on a push day. All right, this is the last set of week 4, day 4. We're so close to finishing my hypertrophy 1.0 program. So very close. I will say I love this lift because the stimulus to fatigue ratio is very, very high. So you're getting a huge amount of hypertrophic stimulus without completely destroying yourself. You know what I mean? And I've never felt like adding in a tricep push down. This just speaks to what I just said. I've never felt like adding a tricep push down at the end of any day has impacted my recovery in any sort of negative way. It's always been a good thing, you know. Anyways, let's finish it up. Okay, guys, that was a killer workout in the books. I think it was. I mean, I went up on almost everything, and even in week 4, so I'm very happy with it. But thank you guys so much for watching week 4, day 4. See you tomorrow for our last pull day of the program, week 4, day 5. See ya.